Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I just think like it's morphed throughout the from the beginning of last or 2 years ago, right? Where I believe how many weeks were we into when I was just doing the recap myself? I think I was trying to record it on my phone. I kept trying to
Right.
record on my
Right.
phone and send it, but it was so long that it didn't work
Yeah.
ever, and I couldn't get it to people, and it was such a pain
Yeah.
in the butt. And
Yeah.
that didn't work out so well. And then Zoom worked for Allison and I, like, to do this, and then for her to do her like beach body stuff, and then um now she doesn't really do that as much, but I enjoy it for this reason, and I think we get enough out of it to make it worth its while. Uh, so
Yeah.
so I like it, but yeah, it's been
I
fun.
enjoy it.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
appreciate it. So yes, you are more than welcome. And uh,
We just need to start getting everyone to start viewing it and then start pushing it to their friends so we can get famous and actually just start
oh
doing
yeah, of
this for
course, and just be uneducated guys on this. Like I'm like my education is other people's education.
right.
Like it's not
Dude,
even.
dude, I'm gonna steal Stephen A. Smith's line. I'm not smart because I know I'm not smart. I listen to all the experts, right?
Yeah. Yeah, see, that's why we're not experts.
Right.
Exactly. Well, welcome, fam, to I'm calling this like the season preview show. Really, I don't know what else to call it. And I have co-host. What is your name, sir?
Zachary Gadby.
Zach Gadby, bringing it down. Well, I appreciate you joining me. I was uh thinking about how you've always been there for me, and one of the things I enjoy is that I feel like we're kind of 50-50 on agreeing. I mean, I think half the time we agree with each other, and the other half of the time we have like odd differing
Completely disagree.
opinions.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Uh, and but I appreciate that because I think it helps in the thought process of playing the game. So,
Yeah.
uh, but but yeah, I have a PowerPoint just like I normally do on these. So if you don't mind, I'm gonna get us started with it and share my screen.
Let's do it. Let's
Boom,
roll.
baby. I am sharing my screen. Thank you. All right, the 2024 season preview of the FFFL. So we are going to do like a little draft review. So quick notes on it. I don't want to get too deep because I think yes, the draft gets you started and everything, but it's not your season, and you can change your season by how you make moves throughout it. So I don't view it too much, but it's so good to look at to see who did well and who did not.
Yeah.
Week one matchups will be after that, and then season long predictions at the very end. And I'll even show you what ESPN is predicting for your standings. Let's start with the FFFL draft reviews. This is our fantasy draft, how it went. Think about all the teams. We had 12 of them. Which managers do you feel had the best draft?
So I have multiple answers here,
Yeah,
but
please. No, no,
here,
no.
to,
Send them.
to shorten it as much as possible, I will say, let me go back and look. I think the two best overall teams, so starters, bench, all of it, was Andy and EJ. Yeah, Andy and EJ. Sam's team is pretty decent too. Um, but that's just kind of where I look at it there as far as overall. Now, starters, a starting lineup, I really like my team is pretty good. It's not bad.
Yeah.
And who was it? Kyle? I think Kyle.
Kyle's got a good starting
Yeah.
squad. I do like
Yes. And
Kyle's starting
Kyle
squad, and I'm worried about week one. We'll get into
in the
that.
same boat. What I was saying, it's literally just starters. So if we, injuries and things that happen through the season, right? I mean, we could be in bad shape. But as far as starters go, I like our teams as well. So, I mean, I
Yeah.
could put five people that did fairly well. But as far as the best draft, I would say it's a toss up between EJ and Andy. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, and I would agree with you actually on all of that. So for EJ, I felt like he focused on workhorse style running backs, like first and second down running backs, because we do give the .2 point per carry, so that's important. Plus, they're guys with some upside, like a Najee Harris. He gets his RB3. I like the upside there
yeah,
because he's in the Arthur Smith system where he's going to get a bunch of carries, and I think he's actually a decent player. He just hasn't had the best offensive line. And then Andy, I agree. I thought he was solid all around. Like, and he's young, so he's also gambling a little bit on the youth. But I like it because I think his only like real veteran is like Kelsey. I mean, he has Kelsey who is anchoring that part too, and is a great tight end, but
right.
very young on his team and all around
Well,
very good.
and I didn't even notice this until today when I was like going over the review of doing this podcast. You know, he has both of his backup running backs.
Right.
That's kind of big. And they're both like pretty good. You know, Tyler Algier is real good if anything happens to Bijan. And Bucky Irving, you know,
Backup Rashad White.
all I've heard is good stuff about him.
Right.
So I've heard that they might start him eventually through the middle of the year over Rashad White.
I
So
know. I have Rashad White on another team, and I'm kind of worried about that. So,
yeah,
but anyways, I think
but
that's I
that's
see.
big for me.
I disagree on the backup running back. I feel like it's okay in certain circumstances, and the good part about the guys he did get are Algier is a really good running back, and Bucky Irving, I don't know, so I can't say, but he's James Cook esque, so
Yeah,
we'll see if he can be that. You haven't seen him in the NFL field, but Tyler Algier we have for 2 years, and he's been really good for 2 years.
yeah,
So I like that he got him specifically, but I don't know that I love always getting your handcuff because I almost feel like you should get others handcuffs. But there were a few this year I did I thought it was always important to get Blake Corum, even if you didn't have Kyron, still get Blake Corum. I wanted him on every team. Jalen Wright, I wanted on every team because I think he's going to be a part of it too. But I think Andy did a good job there, and I say he has the best all-around team. The only other team I'll throw out there is Bob. Again, similar to EJ, focused on like workhorse style running backs as well as a mobile quarterback to go along with that. So he's really trying to get that rushing upside, have a steady floor, and we'll get into it here in week one. But he's got technically one of the highest projected point totals for week one. He's
yeah,
unfortunately playing the same person with the same amount that has also the size. So, but anywho, I
right.
thought those were great drafts. So nice job, you all. Doesn't mean the others did poorly. It just hey, we might have to focus more on what we're doing throughout the year because for me, I'm one of the lowest projected totals, but I actually like where I'm at, and I'm okay with the choices I've made on for the most part. But speaking of choices that we made or didn't make, I should say. What are some players that you liked that you weren't able to get?
So I'm going to be honest. When you sent me this podcast review, I started thinking about it, and I'm 100% serious. I don't remember. I don't remember any like big standout that I was like, oh man, I wish I got them. I do. I feel like there was an opportunity, and I was close that I could have gotten Pacheco, and I didn't get Pacheco. I think it was
Okay.
Allison that got him from
Yeah,
me.
she got him, but she got him at the turn basically of the
Right,
second round,
right, right.
or ETN at
And
the turn of the second round, something like that. I don't. Yeah, I think I Pacheco was either in the end of the first or beginning of the second, one of the two.
right. Well, and full transparency, not one time in a mock draft and never planned on it, but I did not plan on taking Josh Allen. But
Yeah,
I don't know. Something just told while we
yeah.
were in the draft, something was just like, do it, take Josh
Boom.
Allen. So
Isn't that funny how that does happen throughout your drafts? I felt the
yeah,
same way about my wide receiver choices. I took two running backs to start us off, and I actually still like both of them. Jameer Gibbs and Kyron Williams, I think is a solid uh, RB one and two. But part of me felt like at that corner spot, I should have taken a wide receiver instead of a running back for my second pick. and gone
Right.
like AJ Brown or something like that. I think AJ Brown was there. I should have gone Gibbs and Brown. That's what I should have done. And then I, for some reason, was like, nope, go Kyron, right? So it's like, why did I do that when I told myself I was going to go, if AJ Brown's there, I'm going to go him, and I didn't. That was kind of
Yeah.
silly on my end. But even Sam in our league was saying how the draft again just went completely sideways from what he thought, and it just changed your plans from there. A couple,
It does.
I'd say a few guys that I feel I missed out on, and it's because of my wide receiver choices. I haven't taken Nico or Mike Evans in any league except for this one.
Well, I
For me,
know you were giving me a lot of shit about Mike Evans when we were doing mocks. You kept
no,
dogging me
oh,
because
well,
taking
that
all
was
these
more
old
Brandon
guys.
Cooks. That was more Brandon
Right, right,
Cooks because he
right.
added to the elderly stature of your
Yeah,
team. Because I
yeah.
like Mike Evans still. I think he's
Oh
got
yeah,
a
yeah.
style that works. But no, mine would be
Until he doesn't have 1,000 yard season and
yeah,
6 to 10 touchdowns. I you
yeah.
can't tell me.
I know. Um, I feel like I missed out on Javante Williams. I like him, but I have him in a lot of leagues. But I just like him this year. It's the second year off an ACL. I think he's going to be a good player. And then wide receiver wise, that's why I don't really love my choices. But I don't know where I would have been left at the 5-6 turn because at that point I'm picking what pick 60 and 61. But Devonta Smith and DK Metcalf, I kind of wish I'd rather have those two than Nico and Evans. What say you in that? Like, would you rather have DK Metcalf and Devonta Smith or Nico Collins and Mike Evans? Doesn't matter. Like, it's all the same.
Probably
Okay.
that could potentially be a wash, right?
Okay. Makes me feel better about it, actually.
Right,
I'll
right.
take that. But those are some players I do like this year that if you got them, I'm kudos to you. I really like
Well, you
the
mentioned it. I'm so weary on the Houston wide receivers. I'm not saying they won't get numbers and won't be good, but you've got so many targets now, adding Stephon Diggs and Joe Mixon, right? And then
yeah.
on top of all that, Stephon Diggs has kind of been a cancer everywhere he's went. So, we'll just I that's plus I'm an Indianapolis Colts fan. I can't fuck Houston.
Uh, you didn't hear that, Tage.
Oh, sorry.
I don't think she actually
Uh,
did. Maybe a lack of focus there, but I feel you. But
yeah.
right on, man. But yeah, good draft, everybody. It's always a fun process. I love doing the drafts. I think it's cool. And then where you go from there matters. So remember, it does not end here at the draft. It's all about the moves you make now, more than anything. So anything can happen. All right, now we're going to go to week one matchups. Right here, right now, this is how where the divisions are, meaning I just want to remind you all of who is in your division. So ours in the East is me, Denzel Whittington, you, Laws of Alonomics. I like it. I like the team name change. Kyle
Thank
with
you.
Yeah, here we go. We have Allison with the ever so classic field goal. We have Licho with us and Meow Meow, which is Glenn. So that's in the East. And in the West, we have Sakadika, which is Sam. We have the Cases Aces up in Indy. Then we have Andy with the Omaha Colt Fins. We have Beat the Swifties, name change there for Bob. Injured AF year, hopefully not going to be 3 that he puts on there. So that would be bad. And then Cheesehead champions with EJ. So Tyler is injured AF. EJ is Cheesehead champion. So that's how the divisions break out. A reminder, because that might play into our predictions later. All right, let me find a good spot for this. I don't know. Oh, there we go. Something like that. But we have Andy with the Omaha Colt Fins facing Tyler with the injured AFs. This is go back. This is the largest projected difference of any matchup in the week. Any it's got the what do you think about Tyler's defense this week? He has the Chiefs defense going again at home though, going against the Baltimore Ravens. How do you feel about that, or would you make an adjustment?
I like it.
You like it? Okay.
I do. I'm not saying that the Chiefs will win or anything like that, but typically when they play Lamar Jackson, he makes mistakes against the Chiefs. So hopefully you'll get a couple of tackles for losses and maybe an interception. I feel like they'll get 5 points. They should.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, I look at it as like I think it's a tough defense to play against
it
Baltimore, but
is.
I don't know what the Chiefs' schedule looks like after that. So maybe you might have him for after, but I always think that could be potential adjustment. I do feel he has the only other boom in the lineup that he has with Amari Cooper at the flex spot. So hopefully he gets a big game from Amari Cooper because he's going to need it in order to probably beat Andy. Any other anything else that you'd highlight within this game?
Well, before I go any further, let me just say this. I looked at everybody's rosters and I realize we still have, well, tomorrow it starts, but we have till Sunday and it's been very up in the air. But everybody make sure you're checking your roster because some people are not out that were listed out. Some
Yeah.
people were questionable that were projected to healthy today, like a lot. I got a lot of updates of that today. Um, One thing I saw for sure, I forget who has him, but CD Lamb, they have him on the bench and he's listed as out, but projected 17 points.
Yeah, we'll
So
we'll
make
talk about that. Yeah,
yeah,
we'll get
just
into
make sure
that
you're
one.
watching your players. Make sure you watch your lineups because I'm looking here and yeah, I mean Amari. I don't know that I would play Amari Cooper in that flex spot in this game. Um,
Really?
yeah, I would probably play Christian Kirk against Miami.
See, I think that's a too safe of an option. I mean, it is a high scoring game, so maybe that's where you're going, and he gets a
Right, that's what I
touchdown.
mean.
But
I mean, Miami's defense is okay. It's not terrible, but uh, Dallas and Cleveland both have great defenses. So that could be a low scoring game where you're not getting a lot of points, right? It could
yeah,
be,
I think
it
I
could
think
be one of those games where I'm like,
the
go ahead.
Dallas defense is boom bust itself. Really, those
I mean,
corners are either
yeah, but
getting
they have,
beat, they're either getting beat for a touchdown or they're intercepting it for a touchdown. That seems to be how their
right, but
corners
that's what
play.
I'm saying. They also have Trevon Diggs back now. So
Right.
that's
Yeah.
a big thing, you know.
No, that's a good point. But I
But
think
you
you
also
have to
have
go for like
that's another thing too, though. He's questionable right now, but I would also put DeAndre Hopkins over Amari Cooper
sure,
in the flex spot
sure. I thought
against
about
Cincinnati
that.
or Chicago. Sorry,
Yeah,
Chicago.
I thought
But,
about that. If he plays,
I'm
he's a
not
good
saying
option.
Amari's a bad pick. Unfortunately, I think it's just a bad week for Tyler's matchup.
Sure.
I don't mind Tyler's team. I think he's got a pretty decent team this year.
Yeah.
Um,
He's got the Stroud and
but
Diggs, Matt. He's got the Stroud Diggs stack, which I liked, and he went for
yeah,
that too, so that was
yeah,
good.
yeah.
But
And
yeah,
I
he
love
was.
Brees Hall.
Yep.
He should be a
Oh
beast.
yeah, man. Reese could be the best
And
player in the league this year.
well, and that's the thing too. I shouldn't say this, but I'm going to. A lot of his players have no like injury history, right? Like CJ Stroud's been healthy even in college. You
Yeah.
know, Stephon Diggs been relatively healthy. Healthy. Brees Hall's been fine, right? The last 2 years.
Well, I mean, he had an ACL, and then he is
But two right, but he's had 2 years now of
right,
solid,
so he should
you
be
know,
good to go.
right. Pittman Jr. He doesn't have any injury history. Amari Cooper, not really. He might miss a game here and there, but
Yeah.
nothing major, right?
He's always like
So
banged. He's
as
always like
far as his
questionable, but he
injured,
plays.
right, right. But as far as his
Yeah.
injured team, I don't think he's going to have to deal with that this year. Hopefully, I hope for you,
Oh, now
buddy.
you
I'm
just
I'm
cursed
rooting
him.
for you, man.
Way to go. Well, we're gonna move on
No,
from
I'm
that then,
rooting.
Tyler.
I'm
We don't want
rooting.
to curse you anymore, so we'll move
But I
on
think
from there.
anyway, yeah. Quickly, I think he's
It's
just up against a bad matchup this week.
yeah,
Like
it's
we,
gonna be a,
I
a
hope
uphill
I
battle.
think
So
Andy's team is a good team, so it's just a tough week for
get as
him,
much
right?
boom as you can, I will say, Tyler, to try to make up that
Yeah,
gap. All right, now we have
yeah.
EJ versus Bob, and this is actually the top two projected totals on the week facing each other at an even 118. So I think that's A in itself remarkable. But
Yeah.
there's also a couple storylines here. So Bob has Jalen Hurts as his quarterback. However, EJ has him countered with AJ Brown. So what do you think about that? Who comes out as the better value or best person to have between those two players in this game?
Without a question, Jalen Hurts. I
Yeah.
mean, that's not even a question. AJ
Okay.
Brown's good. Don't get me wrong. I'm not knocking AJ Brown, but they do a lot of tush push, and they'll probably do even more of that this year now that they have Saquon Barkley, right? Because they're going to run the ball and throw the ball. They'll be down there even more. Like I think Philly will probably have a relatively good year if Saquon is healthy all year.
Yeah.
And
Well,
I don't think it'll be a bunch of AJ Brown. I mean, I think he'll do okay. He's AJ Brown, but I don't think it'll be what everybody is expecting. I think it's
do,
going to be a lot of running the ball, a lot.
so do you think Jalen Hurts and Saquon Barkley cap each other's ceiling? Do you think they offset
I
each
think it's
other too
good to have
much?
them. I think it's good to have them together just for that reason that you don't know. Maybe Saquon busts open a few that he gets into the end zone, and if not, then you have the protection of having Jalen doing the
Yeah.
tush push. So I feel like you're protected. Like you might have a bad outcome from Saquon, let's say, but Jalen Hurts might have a 40-point game, right? Like
Yeah. No, that makes
so.
sense.
And
Yeah, they
honestly, I think the entire matchup here, I think it all relies on what Kansas City does. That's what I think. I think it matters if Patrick Mahomes can get maybe his projected points there, right? The 25 points, right? Can he get 25, maybe 30? I think if he does that, that maybe EJ wins.
yeah.
But it's a rough game. Who we don't know. It's week one, you never know. Could be a rough day, you know.
It's interesting too because he has Rasheed Rice and Xavier Worthy on his bench.
I
So
know.
you and I just also wonder, would he use one of those guys? Is he waiting to see who comes out on top after week one to then decide what he might do with one of those guys? Because myself, I'm probably trying to get Rasheed Rice in there in some way, shape, or form. I mean, he's been practicing with them all all year so far, and last year he had a great year with Mahomes. I know there's more weapons around him, but he's the guy that I know like they trust.
I'm not saying you're wrong, but as
But you're
far as this
wrong.
particular week, I wouldn't, not this week. I would say most of the time, I would probably play Rasheed Rice over Najee in that flex spot, probably.
Yeah,
But probably not this week. I mean, it's close. For me, it's close. I
yeah,
feel I have this prediction that Pittsburgh's going to be pretty good. I don't think they're going to be like number one or anything, but I think they're going to be a lot better than people think.
yeah.
Yeah,
I would agree with that. I mean, I don't know how much they've addressed the wide receiver position. We'll see if Roman Wilson is any good in that regard. But Freiermuth, if he can stay healthy, is a really good tight end. And obviously you have George Pickens, but I would like to see that side of the ball. But it's just a different kind of offense. And with Najee Harris and Jalen Warren, they're both
yeah,
on their last year of their contracts. We'll see what happens there. But I agree with you. I think they actually have more pieces, and you realize it's just what's that quarterback play going to be like. But yeah, this will be a great matchup to look at and to watch because both these teams are really good starting lineups, and I'll be definitely interested in this one. I consider this the matchup of the week.
yeah.
Now comes my matchup with Kyle. The champ returns. I'm here, everybody. So champ is in town.
Yeah, the
Projections
champ
tell
is here to lose his first game.
yeah,
Champ is here
projections
to
tell
lose
us
game.
that I have one of the worst teams that's out here. So,
Let's
but
go,
what do they
Kyle.
know?
Go,
What do they?
Kyle.
What do they
I
know?
hope you understand it's nothing personal, but I have to root against you every game this year.
I get it, man. No, I completely understand it, and I think you should because I'm the champ, and you want the
The
champ to get
envy
knocked
is
off
real.
the. You got to get him off the hill. So, and Kyle's going
Right.
to take the first swing of anybody. We're two semifinalists. facing off from last year, facing off in the first round this year. Um, I from my end, what I can say is I've played Christian Watson over a guy like a Chase Brown or something because I want to. My goal is that boom, and I don't know what that role is for Chase. So I didn't want
Right.
to start him this week, but I know if Christian Watson is healthy, I'm going to play him. EJ may say yay or nay. We'll have to. He'll be able to respond to that, I guess. Being the Packer fan he is, to let me know if I'm correct. But I look at it as if Christian Watson's healthy, I kind of want him in my lineup, and so I'm going to force him in some way. So this is the one I'm starting with. We'll see. I got Watson and Evans that feel like boom kind of players that I gotta hope go off together. So I may be playing too much boom into my lineup. I don't know, but we will see. On the other side, I'm worried.
Yeah.
Like Kyle, I think you even talked about it. He has one of the best starting lineups out there. I'm worried, man. This guy, like top to bottom, every single
So
guy I read off, I'm like, yep, I don't want to face him.
so when I'm on here, I'm gonna make one prediction and we'll see how it goes for the year, right? At least one, but I'm gonna try to do at least one. And this one is I would not play Tank Dell against Indianapolis.
Oh no,
That is not the move I would make. No, no. I would either play Tyler Lockett, which he is questionable, so I understand. I don't know. Make sure you watch it. But if he was playing, I would play Tyler Lockett. And I'll probably surprise you with this. This is where kind of the long shot comes in. I'd probably play Darnell Mooney over Tank Dell in this game.
really?
Yeah, I like Atlanta, dude. I think they're going to be all right. I think they're going to be pretty good. I think they're going
I'm
to be pretty good.
I'm with you on Mooney in general. Like I will say
Yeah,
that. I'm with you on Mooney in general.
I think
Um,
it's a huge pickup having him with Drake London because Drake London is established. He's the number one. So Mooney can come in and not have any pressure on him, right? It's just
yeah,
Kyle Pitts is in front of him, right? Bijan Robinson's in front of him. So, it's way less pressure. I mean, when he went to Chicago, it was like, oh, he's going to save us. And then I forget where he went. The Rams? Was he the Rams?
I believe so. Yeah.
I think it was the Rams. I just feel like he's had a little bit of pressure on him at the few places he's went, but I think Darnell Mooney is good. I mean, he's all right.
Well, Darnell Mooney was with the Bears.
Right. And then he went with, I think he was with the Rams last year.
No, Mooney was still with the Bears.
Last year he
This is
was with
only
the
his
Bears.
second home.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Who am I thinking? Well, whatever. I'm thinking of
I don't
somebody
know
else.
what you're thinking, man. No clue. But I'm worried
Someone
about.
from the Bears. Oh,
I don't know who else you'd play. I'd say I disagree. Like
his
I don't know
name
who
is on
else
the
you'd
tip of
play
my
in his
tongue.
lineup.
It was a Bear guy. There was a wide receiver from the Bears that had a lot of hoopla about him. He wasn't very good
Oh,
for the went
yeah.
to
Allen Robinson.
Allen Robinson. That's who I was sorry. That's
That
who I
dude
was
has
thinking of.
bounced around since then. He was great for the
Yeah, yeah,
Bears
yeah.
that
I
year, and
apologize.
then he
Yeah,
fell
yeah.
off completely. But
I
no, all good, man.
digress.
But I would stick with Tank. I mean, I don't. I would stick with him, and I think that could also be the difference, though, in the game, right? Is Nico Collins
Yes.
versus Tank Dell.
Right.
What does that look
Right.
like? So
Right.
I think that could be the deciding factor of this matchup in the end if all stays true, right?
I
So
feel like you could also be agreeing with me, but not saying you agree with me because he's playing you, so you want to win.
well, I want to win. Yeah. What are you talking about? Yeah, I want to
So
win. I
you
just think he's
want
got.
Tank.
I really like his starting lineup. Like after reading it through, I'm
Yeah,
like, yeah, I
yeah.
really like these guys, and
I'm not
so
dogging Tank Dell. It is a good starting lineup. I said it
yeah.
earlier. Yeah.
But here's where I go with it. Tank Dell is technically, in a sense, his his fifth skill player
Yeah.
chosen. I'm
Yeah.
probably putting all four of those guys: Derrick Henry, Kenneth Walker, Justin Jefferson, Devonta Smith. They're all ahead of Tank Dell. So for Tank Dell to be your
I
fifth option, that's where I'd say like I'm not looking to him to be my third or fourth option. I'm looking to him to be my fifth. I like it in
right.
that sense. So
Sure,
that's
sure.
where I like his lineup a lot. So I think Kyle's going to be a tough one to work with this year. All right,
Yeah.
let's go to Perfect start. This is my best dad joke. Sorry. But Meow Meow, which is Glenn, up against Louie and Licho over there. And it currently has Glenn slated to win, but that's partly because of what you were talking about before of CD Lamb is not in the lineup right now, and I imagine
Okay, so it was
he'll be put
Licho.
in the lineup.
Right, right.
Yeah, it's Louis, and once he's put in the lineup, then their projection is about the same. But I imagine he's putting him in. I don't know why you wouldn't if he's playing, but if anyone would do it, it'd be Louis, and he'd be right the whole time. And Austin Eckler is going to outscore CD
Well,
Lamb.
Puka
And
Puka is also listed as questionable, and I'm not seeing any kind of an update on him at all.
I thought they said he was going to be back by the start of the season. I thought they
Again,
had
I saw
said
so
that, but
many things today that I don't
right,
know who. I saw a bunch of them.
yeah. So, but yeah, in
Yeah,
this matchup, you have a few things, but Louis has Lamar Jackson, and Glenn has Mark Andrews is the Lamar Jackson's number one target. So kind of counterbalancing each other right there. If Lamar is throwing the ball, but we know Lamar doesn't have to throw the ball in order to make a huge difference. So that could be it's already a difference maker right there. But if CeeDee Lamb plays over Eckler, what do you feel about the lineup at that point?
I think even if CD Lamb plays, it's going to be a tough week for Licho. I don't, I don't see a lot coming out of Licho's. I don't love T Higgins. I don't.
No.
I no no. Jake Ferguson again. They're playing Cleveland, so I don't see him getting a big day. I mean, I could be wrong, but
No, that's a great defense.
obvious right. And obviously, having CD Lamb, you know, even still, I don't know if that does help you in this game, right? Because he hasn't played at all, he hasn't
Yeah, he
practiced
hasn't
at all.
practiced. Yeah, and that
So,
could be what Louis is doing is saying, "Hey, I don't trust
yeah,
that he's
right,
hasn't practiced."
could
That's
be,
where I say if anybody would do this, it would be Louis. Because for me, I just put him in there. I wouldn't care. I'm like, he's good enough. I don't
yeah.
care.
Well,
But
and here again, I would, I would probably play Smith and Jigba over Austin Eckler,
okay,
probably
I can feel you
just
there
because of the
too.
matchup.
That was another question
Yeah,
mark I had
yeah.
for it. So I can see what you're saying there. What
I'm
about on
not
the other
hating
side?
on Eckler, but go ahead. The
Anything you
other
change
side.
on the other side? Like anybody you change or you like in that lineup? I know he's got Jaden Reed, Jaleel McLaughlin. I mean, to me,
You, you
I
know,
look at Tony Pollard as I'd keep Tony Pollard in there, man.
right. So I probably wouldn't change anything with his except I but I would consider starting Caleb Williams over Anthony Richardson.
I didn't. I wouldn't golf at that. I honestly thought about it. I'm like looking at the matchup of who they're facing, but Tennessee, we'll see. But Houston, I believe that's
Houston
tough.
is a
It's a
good
tough decision,
defense,
but
great defense, and I mean, Anthony Richardson's coming off of an injury, right? This is going to be his first game, and I know he's played the preseason and he's looked okay, right? But I don't know, just against a division opponent, tough, tough defense, right? Like, I don't know. I would consider it. I would consider playing Caleb Williams, maybe.
yeah. I don't like I said. I actually don't
Yeah.
golf at that. I looked at it at one point. I was like, that wouldn't be bad. I mean, when you think about the defense you're facing and the style of play is going to be had and stuff like that, that's where you have some of those questions. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, I agree. So we'll see what Louis does with CD Lamb. So that's something to look out for this week, everybody, to see if that what the decision is and if that decision is what ultimately wins or loses the week for him. Then I have Shroot or the computer. And this is because Sam is taking his human drafted team versus Casey's computer drafted team. And so we will see who comes out the victor in the human versus computer matchup. Um, any notes that you have to get us started here? I got a couple, but I'd love to hear your side of this because you were very adamant about needing to be there for the draft. So I gotta give you
So
the
now
floor.
that I see it, I remember I feel like I should have gotten someone from Casey's team. He took someone I wanted. It might have been Devontae Adams, and it was an auto draft, and he already had Jamar Chase, Garrett Wilson, and
Yeah,
something maybe. But anyways, I digress. Um, yeah, next year be there for the fucking draft.
yeah, because he also
Um,
drafted too many tight ends, good tight ends.
Drafted a lot of
So
tight ends here,
so
but
some
whatever. I
trades
mean,
might need to happen for some
right.
running. Yeah,
I don't really know. This is a really good matchup. Like I said, I like Sam's team. I opened up saying that his was one of those five that I kind of like. And I think he's got some pretty good matchups this week, right? Like Joe Burrow's going up against New England. He's got Achan going up against Jacksonville. He's got Kamara going against Carolina.
yeah,
He's
he's got
against
a lot of great
Jacksonville.
matchups.
Yeah, he's got some fantastic matchups where on the other side, we don't know what Aaron Jones is, right? And
Correct.
you got Garrett Wilson playing San Francisco. I mean,
Which
that's
is
going to be
tough.
tough, right?
Even
Yes.
Atlanta, they're trying to beef up their defense in Atlanta. That's why
I'm telling
EJ picked him up. I mean, they really are focused on that too. So I don't think you can golf at that either
Well,
for
and I mean,
Jalen Warren.
having to start Jalen Warren because you don't have any running backs.
Yeah. New
You know,
England should probably have a
I mean,
solid D. I mean, they usually do.
now that I'm looking, wow, that's crazy. Like he's got three running backs, and one of them is out.
Yep.
Like,
Correct.
yeah,
Correct. Yeah.
yeah. Auto draft
So
didn't work for you so great this year, did it? There, but
it did not help. So I would suggest trading one of those good tight ends for
I'll trade.
a
So
decent
just so
running back.
everyone's aware, I'll trade Nick Chubb. He's on IR until at least week 4, but I'll trade Nick Chubb.
There you go. Nick Chubb for a tight end. You need a tight end. I mean, you got Kyle Pitts, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm probably okay on tight end. Maybe I don't know.
Yeah, you don't know yet. Exactly. I think you
I
got to
feel like
wait.
I feel like I'd like to see a wide receiver. I feel like I need another wide out. I need another wide receiver.
Yeah. Well, let's get off of you for right now. And
Yeah,
then,
sorry.
and instead of getting off of you for what you're talking about, we'll get on to you about your matchup with Allison. So I put gift wrapped up here because you are the second highest point differential in for this week, with almost basically 12 points ahead, projected more than her. And if you don't know, that's actually a pretty good amount in
Yeah.
fantasy football. How do you feel about it? And do you feel like it's well, why don't you feel like it's gift wrapped? I'll say that because I know you and how you'll answer.
Well, I can tell you this. Believe me if you want, but if it was me, I'm not playing Brock Purdy uh over Tua. Not this week. Not with
Yeah, I
them
probably
going
wouldn't this week.
Jets
I would
and
agree with that.
right. And then I don't love my matchup. I'm gonna be honest. Like I know I saw I was the second highest projected difference, but they got James Cook projected 19.3, and me and you have discussed this. Like, let's hope so, right? Like he gets
Yeah.
a lot of carries, but he needs to get in the end zone this year. Right?
Yeah, he needs to get
Like,
some touchdowns to kind of get
yeah,
closer to that mark. But
and
he
I'm
is
happy
highly
that I
involved.
well, and I'm happy I have James Cook. Don't get me wrong. I like James Cook, but we need touchdowns, right? we need,
Yeah. And I would
I
say
don't know
you're
about my matchup against Arizona, right? Like I got Josh Allen and James Cook against Arizona. That's going to be a little tough. And then I got Ayuk going against the Jets.
Arizona has one of the
That's
worst defenses in the league, man.
right. But their offense is probably going to be vastly improved, I
Right,
feel
which is
like.
good because if their defense sucks and their offense is improved, then everybody's
But
got to
that's what I
score.
mean. I think they'll chew up clock, right? So I think they'll try to keep the ball out of Buffalo's hand, is what I mean. I think they'll run the
Oh,
ball, small yardage and passes, right? They'll try to hog the clock. So
Got it.
it only gives Buffalo so much time. And if they do that, that means Josh Allen is throwing and they're not running, right? So,
Yeah. No, that makes sense. Um,
but she has some tough matchups too. She's got
yep.
Debo going against the Jets, and
So right
she's
now it's
got Brock.
Purdy against the Jets, Pacheco against the Ravens, ETN against Miami, which is considered a good defense this year. Debo against the
Yeah,
Jets, Malik Neighbors against Minnesota. They're not a great defense. Hunter Henry
right.
versus at Cincy. They're not a great defense, but Chicago's a good defense.
Yeah,
Tajay Spears and Chicago and Dallas is a pretty good offense against the Browns, so you don't know what's going to happen, but we'll
yeah.
see. So yeah, so that's going
Well,
to
and
be
same thing with me. I don't like my defense in this week, right? I love the Jets defense, but this week it's going to be probably bad, right? I mean, they're
yeah,
going against San Francisco. They don't give up a whole bunch of sacks. They don't really fumble the ball. They don't throw a whole bunch of picks. Like,
yeah.
not a whole lot of points out there to get.
No, that's very true. Very true. All right. Well, that wraps up our week 1 matchups. Thank you, Zachary. But here we have our season predictions now. So I want to show you this is what ESPN has for how they feel we will finish based on current days, like standings or how our team looks. As you can see, the big highlight team is the Denzel Winningtons, and we're highlighted because we are the champions or because it was my account that was going into it. We don't know. But I am projected fairly low this year, whereas Meow Meow Glenn is at the top. So it's interesting that we kind of talked earlier, about it, but I'd love to know based on this, so you see who's at the top and how they're ranked to potentially finish. What are your predictions for like who wins the actual East? So if you remember in the East, it would be you. Here, I'll go back so you can. So in the East, it is myself, you, Kyle, Allison, Licho, and Glenn. West is Sam, Casey, Andy, Bob. Sorry, I almost called you Rob, but Bob, Tyler, and EJ.
So in the East, I think it's going to be me and Kyle. I
Okay.
hope.
Yeah.
And I hope I am the winner. I'm going to be honest. I think it. So yeah, I think the East would be me. The West, woo. Like I told you, that's going to be a tough division. The three of the teams that I put in that five that I like are in the West.
Okay.
So I mean, I
Right. I think the West is a
maybe
tougher division.
maybe Bob. Maybe I'll run off of the ESPN season predictions and say Bob because he's third and he would be the best in the West in this prediction.
Yeah.
But boy, EJ's team is not bad. EJ's team
No.
is not bad.
There's a lot of good
EJ being
teams.
what is that, six? Yeah, EJ being a six is ugh,
That seems
I
off.
don't
Yeah, that seemed off to
know.
me because I really liked
Yeah,
EJ's draft, and we both
I
already
feel
kind of
like
talked
EJ
about
should
that.
be top three,
Right.
right? I think it's
Yeah. Very weird.
a little strange that sorry, Glenn, but I think it's strange Glenn is number one. Let me go back and look at it.
I mean, CMC is a huge weight, man. So you got to
Sure, sure.
let's see if he gets the
But I
same
mean,
stuff. But
his second running back is Raheem Mostert, who is technically a backup. I
well, I mean, I think they're
mean,
gonna share. They're gonna share time.
sure, but I
We'll
mean,
see.
Marvin Harrison Jr. is a rookie, right? Mark Andrews has not been healthy for 2 years now.
Yeah.
Tony Pollard was terrible last year. I mean, um, and yeah, his bench ain't great. I mean, he's got Reed and he does have Caleb Williams again, but I mean, yeah, I don't. I mean, I'm no
I think he
expert.
has a solid bench. I do, Glenn.
You think he has what?
I think he has a solid bench. I actually have him winning the East this year. I think he has like a
Really?
better bench than everyone else in the East, and to me, that's an important part of this of the game is to
It
have a
is.
good bench. And
It
as we
is.
said, Kyle, I love Kyle's team, but I don't like Kyle's bench that well. Um,
Sure. I
I,
did
I
say that.
I feel like for mine, my team also like I'm reliant on a lot of things to break my way as I look at it, potential injuries to happen ahead of that person, or,
Right.
I mean, for a lot of it. And so for me, like that's a big gamble. So if that pays off, I think I shoot up. But if that doesn't pay off, then I probably am in this same spot as normal. For your team, I thought it was the same as Kyle's. Like I really like your starting lineup. I don't know I've liked the bench as much. So for me, it was
Right.
like Glenn just had the better bench in the East, which I think is a softer division this year.
Yeah.
Whereas in the West, like you said, the teams I liked, most of them were in the West. They were over there. It was
Yeah.
Bob, it was EJ, it was Andy. You know what I mean? So it was like those
Yeah.
are my main three. And for me, I think I ended up going with Andy winning the West. I have Andy winning the West this year because I think from top to bottom, Andy has the best team of everybody, top to bottom. I mean, just balanced. If somebody gets injured, he still has somebody on the bench that can fill a spot, and somehow he still has the starting lineup like two to three bench
Right.
players in a sense, especially with how they might break throughout the season. Who
Yeah.
do you have? Who do you have winning it all then? So who's winning it all this year?
Laws of Alonomics.
Okay. Wire, how's that team gonna win it all this year?
No, if I'm being objective, I really think it might be EJ or Andy. If I'm being unbiased, I think it might be EJ or Andy.
Yeah. Um,
I don't have a solid choice for that right now, but
okay. Well, yeah,
I
guys, you
mean,
got obviously you got to see it play out.
yeah.
Um, but I guess I think the championship ultimately is gonna be me. It's pretty obvious. I've won it already in the past, so I have a track record to show. I've won. So it's pretty
Okay.
obvious. And I think last year I'd love to look. I'm pretty sure last year I was ranked at the bottom after this draft portion and came out on top. So I think it's gonna be me. But in all honesty, I actually picked Andy. If I think he has the best lineup, top to bottom. So I'm gonna choose him to win it all and take it home this year. And I'm sure he hopes the same. And now he hates that we mentioned it because he's going to say that he's jinxed and he will not win it now
Right.
that we
Yeah.
said that.
Yeah.
And every
Whatever.
decision he makes will be based around the fact that we've chosen, and he was part of your answer too, EJ or Andy that takes it all. And I said Andy, and we wrote this separately. We did not know
Well, you
each
might change
other's
your
choice until
prediction
now.
because you might change your prediction. We'll see if Andy decides to accept this trade.
We'll check in quarterly on this and see after every 4 games how's it looking? What are we thinking?
Right.
So we'll do we'll do that. That sounds good. Any other predictions you have this year in the fantasy realm you want people to know about?
I predict that Tyler won't get like 7 injured players. I got you, Tyler. I got you, bro. I got you. I'm rooting for you, buddy. Not to
Same.
win, but to not lose all your games.
Yeah, because remember, if you lose, the champion gets to pick your name for the next year. So the next year in the league, your name is whatever the champion decides to make it. So that is the punishment for
Oh,
losing.
that's what we're doing?
Did you
Okay.
not watch the episode? It was the one where that nobody attended, which is okay.
Yeah.
But at least watch
No.
the episode so you know what happened, you know? Um, but no, so that's what we voted on. I liked it. Allison found it. And then the council, the head council now, obviously, of me, Glenn, and Allison, which oddly enough is how Allison and I got married. It was me, Glenn, and Allison up there, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Full circle.
Mm-hmm.
Anywho, but I don't have any other bold predictions on the year except for that Allison will get into the championship game again and lose. That's my bold prediction.
You're
She'll go from
predicting.
12th, start from the bottom. Now we're almost there, is what's going to happen
Hmm.
for Allison. That's my bold prediction this year. and
Mm,
we'll see. So we'll see how that goes. Well,
mm,
I appreciate you spending time with me and doing this
yeah.
season preview. The FFFL in general appreciate you taking the time as well and dropping your knowledge and expertise. Uh, any parting words for the clan?
Yeah. If EJ wins this year, it's your fault, Andy.
You brought him. You
No,
brought him.
no.
Oh,
It's from the text message. Remember?
no,
He Andy
refresh me.
text message and was some news and like listed every single one of us except for
Oh,
EJ.
oh, yeah. Yeah,
Your fault.
I forgot he's so witty.
Your yeah, your
So
fault.
witty.
Completely forgot that 11th name, right?
Love it. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate it, man. Thank you for sharing. Much love to everybody. Much love to you,
Love you all.
sir. And we will talk again soon.
Yep.
Deuces.
Love you.